Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, this is the Anar 0141. Sorry for my absence in recent weeks, maybe anything up to a month, but I have been dealing with something else entirely. Now, today, I'm going into an interview with one Rod Abrams. Something about this gentleman struck me as particularly odd. It really did. You see, now another YouTuber, Streets of Bakersfield, is it? She's obviously seen this footage, and she called this guy some very nasty slur words. I think it was inbred, low IQ, retarded. I'd like to correct you on one thing, Miss Streets of Bakersfield. This gentleman's, he may have a slightly lower IQ than many people in this world, but he's certainly not retarded. His brain may be wired in a different manner, and it is very clearly shown in the interview that I'm talking about today. So, as you all know, the way that I run things, I will watch the video, and if I catch anything of notice, then I'll put a timestamp on it, as you all know. So, let's jump in. At 1.17, 1 minute 70, Rod Abrams is explaining to the two police officers, or FBI agents, I don't exactly know who they belong to, about his boss called Ned Smith, who runs a paving company in certain areas in Indiana. And I got another gentleman called Eugene Stanley. Don't know who that is. Not my problem. At 1.20, he also explained about Mr. Elvis Fields, who was born on April the 6th, 1971, which places him almost 60 years old by now. At 0521, Rod Abrams appears to scratch here, either to get rid of an irritant or indeed a bug. Not entirely sure about that one. That could also be construed as a possible deceptive measure. It's very common. I've seen it hundreds of times where people will attempt to cover their face with their hand. It's very common. At 0548, there appears to be a contradiction of statement where the gentleman in the back, he seems to be quite clicked on. He seems to be quite, he's listening to all of this. Now, he's one that I always tend to watch, because it's always evident from another person's reaction on the camera. The contradiction of statement of when Ned goes and looks at other potential jobs and he leaves Mr. Fields and indeed Mr. Abrams by themselves to complete their assignment. Whereas earlier he was saying, no, he never does that, he never leaves them alone, he never just goes off. Therefore, that's a contradiction in the statement. That's an interesting one. At 07:45, there is no work, apparently, between November and March. There may not be. But at the same time, I noticed Mr. Abrams' eyes, in particular, they were giving off deceptive movement, where he was trying to say, you know, when your eyes go up and to the right, it means that you're trying to come up with something creative, which, if you were telling the whole truth to indeed any law enforcement officer or indeed an interrogator, can be picked up on very quickly and easily. At 0844, the gentleman in the back, the senior, I presume he would be the senior, asks about the previous interview. Obviously, this gentleman's had dealings with Mr. Abrams before. He's interviewed him once before. And he obviously asked a certain question, and this time the answer is different, or the answer was not there in the first interview. This is what's known as discrepancy. This is what's known as discrepancy right there. Okay? Again, that can be construed as deception. At 0918, Mr. Abrams rubs over his face with his right hand. Like that. Yeah. That's not once, but twice now he's done this. Twice. It's either a very hot day or he's showing signs of extreme agitation and nervousness. It's not unsurprising, considering the fact that he's being interviewed in front of 2 police officers. It's not surprising at all. He has known Elvis since he was 19 years old. I think he was either 19 years old or 17 years old. So they obviously know each other extremely well. Yeah. If Elvis, at 12:00 minutes exactly, if Elvis was in Lafayette, then Rod Abrams certainly, apparently, has no knowledge of it. As we know, Mr. Fields is currently residing in estate in Indiana, which is quite some distance away from Lafayette. Yeah. And bearing in mind this gentleman doesn't even drive, so how would you get everywhere? How would you get anywhere? Would you walk it? Hey, I wouldn't want to be you. Your legs must be absolutely knackered by now. At 1338, when asked a question by the gentleman in the front, who we don't see, there's an aversion to this question in the particular video. I can't remember now what it was about, but there we go. But there was definitely an aversion to it. He was trying to swerve the question. He was trying to get around it. You don't do that. At 1350, he then states that Elvis Fields sleeps all day. I'm sorry, but if Mr. Fields was indeed asleep all day, how would he get any work done? Because I know for a fact I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to do it at all. At 1713, Rod Abrams says, I deleted Elvis off Facebook because of his dealings or asking young girls as young as 12 or 13 years of age, how much does it cost for a blow job or a blowy, whatever you want to call it. That's what's known as distancing. He's distancing away. He's going, nope, don't want nothing to do with that. Thank you very much. Or then that could also be a way of averting the question or swerving the question itself. But his eyes again, they betray him. Up and to the right. Yeah, he's lying. At 19.36, apparently Mr. Abrams isn't keen on pork products. Like sausages, bacon. Wow, that's extremely unusual for most people, I believe. It could be a dietary prejudice, it could be, it's completely irrelevant to anything whatsoever. Why would you discuss what you eat in an interview unless you're trying to get a read on the person? You wouldn't. At 2028, there appears to be a slight glitch in the actual video itself when he gets questions slightly further. So I wasn't sure on what to make of this. It was a bit of an odd one, in my opinion. At 23:10, I would like to advise everybody to watch the gentleman and in the back seat very closely. His facial reaction, his body language, something changes. Something changes there. It's very interesting. He doesn't buy what Mr. Abrams is saying at that particular point. After all, he's not stupid. At 24:58, Mr. Abrams does not have a paper or indeed a digital trail. Now, with most jobs, with most forms of employment, you get paid via the back system, like goes directly into your bank every 2 weeks to a month. But Mr. Abrams doesn't have this. There's no digital transactions, there's no paper trail, so that can only mean that he gets paid cash in hand on the end of the week. It's not unheard of. It really isn't. We have it over here. At 25:41, Mr. Abrams' eyes go up and to the right hand side when on a certain question that the police officer asks him. This is a plain up lie. He's accessing the creative side of his brain in order to come up with an answer. Whereas if it was going up and to the left, he's accessing direct memory. Yeah, it was a lie. It was mostly Stanley Munsley or somebody. Wow. At 28:27, his eyes up and right again. And at this particular question, his voice and tone changes ever so slightly. When a person is attempting to be deceptive, or indeed they're trying to cover the truth, you'll notice slight little cracks in the voice. Their voice and tone will change. That's another thing you look at in interrogation or investigation work. At 29:35, when asked about the phone, yeah, he lied again. Eyes up and to the right. His voice is definitely changing slightly, and he also appears to have what's known as dry mouth. The edges of the lips here will appear to be dry. So if you asked him to open his mouth and show you his tongue, it would be dry. It'd be absolutely dry. This only happens when a person is being deceptive or extreme nervousness in many cases. Seen this before? It does happen. At 30:22, he attempts to swerve the question again. Definitely deceptive. You know, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times you're swerving the question. Yep, you're being deceptive, all right. You see, when a person is lying, there are certain telltale signs. The eyes, as I've explained, they start to get dry mouth, their voice and tone will change. Plus their body language. So something about this guy is a little bit off, don't you think? Excuse me. At 31:17, Ned has previously said to Mr. Abrams, "I can always count on you." And that's pretty generic. You know, it could mean, yeah, Rog, you're reliable, you're good at what you do. Or it could mean something else entirely. And the way that Mr. Abrams says this, it's almost with a tone of pride in his voice. Which, given the circumstances, yeah, it could be done, no problem. You know, who doesn't like being told that they're, reliable? Who doesn't like being told they're punctual? Nobody that I know. At 21:53, he actually says, I actually hung out with Ned Smith on the 13th of February 2017. Ooh, so you didn't visit your mum? Obviously you don't have a girlfriend or a significant other to speak of. But instead you choose to hang around with your boss. And that's fair enough, each to their own. That's fair. Obviously nobody wants to be alone on that specific day, do they? The next question, however, is very interesting. It was a question about Delphi itself. And from Mr. Abrams' reaction, it was a contradiction as to what he said previously about Delphi. Yet again, that can be construed as a sign of deception very easily and very quickly. The Muncie guy, well, he's been only mentioned a couple of times. Yeah. Not entirely too sure about him. At 34.41, Elvis Fields with young girls, but not. He would communicate with young girls on Facebook. Girls of 12 and 13, possibly slightly older, but not older women. Wow, gee. Yeah. That's pretty damning in itself, don't you think? You literally dropped your friend right in the shit there, my friend. You dropped Mr. Fields right in the shit with that statement alone. When you tell people that one of your closest friends has been communicating in any way with young girls, but not with older women, that will really give off the wrong idea to people. Trust me, it will. It's no wonder Mr. Fields is getting a lot of hate. At 35.41, Rod Abrams had a scratch on the nose on his Facebook profile. And according to him, according to the police officer, it was about here, almost on the bridge of his nose. Mr. Abrams tries to pass it off as the sunglasses cutting into the bridge of his nose. Mr. Abrams, both you and I know that never happened. It doesn't happen. What were you doing? Sleeping on your face? With your sunglasses on? Again, deception. Both you and I know that doesn't happen. His facial expression also zones out at this point. He's like, no. It completely zones out. Like, you know, when somebody does that, usually it's best to leave the interview as it is for a few minutes and then come back. Especially if you're trying to question. Okay, I give fair credit to the two police officers for keeping on going here. At 38:01. Now this is where it gets really fun. Rod Abrams admits to owning a box cutter, which I believe has been mentioned so many times in the past by various other YouTubers about a box cutter being used to willfully and deliberately murder both young Abby and Libby. Or it could have been just one of them and the other one was done in by another means. Very interesting. At 40.27, Mr. Abrams admits that Elvis Fields has a history of domestic violence and abuse, specifically towards Mr. Fields' ex-wife, right in front of the children. Wow! Yet again, you dropping your friend right in the shit there. Sorry about my language, folks, but it is as it is. I'm going to leave it here. This is from the first 40 minutes of that interview. But I would like you all to do something. I would like you all, once you've watched this video, or you can even pause it, or whatever, I would like you all to find the largest mirror you can find in your homes. And then the first part to this is I would like you to think about something that you've done or you've seen that is truthful in nature, and watch yourself very closely in the mirror. The second part is to think about something that is not true, untruthful. And again, watch yourself in the mirrors. You see, you'll find it very interesting about the fact that you may be able to lie to other people, but you certainly can't lie to yourself. I hope you all have a very nice weekend, and I will be back soon with the secondary part to this video. Until then, have fun, stay safe, and enjoy the nice hot weather. It's about time we had some. Later.